In at 10, Five Nights in Anime. Okay, now this isn't exactly a mod for a FNAF game in general, but it's a modification of the characters and the story that will make your significant other question everything if they see you playing it. So you know what, I'm gonna count it, plus I need more for this list. There was not 10 actual mods. I mean, like, hey, I know that people love animatronics, and I know that that love can get a little weird, but even I was surprised to learn that this game existed. And you know what, I've seen a lot of fan art for this franchise, a lot of it, and I thought that I'd seen it all, but apparently I haven't, because you know what, here's Five Nights in Anime. This game was basically created to parody FNAF, where instead of you being a security guard at a Freddy's restaurant, you're actually hired as the security guard at an anime convention, and it's up to you to watch over these anime-style animatronic versions of the Freddy's cast. Yeah, they're still animatronics. We've got the core cast of animatronics, they're just stylized as well-endowed anime ladies, because why not? I don't know. I think the really weird thing about this game is that how many people seemed to want more of it and then wanted a version that leads more into the genre itself instead of just being a parody, which is kind of weird. In at 9, Buff Freddy and Morty. And don't think that I'm not gonna be inclusive. For all those who love the dudes, who love the trash men of every universe, Buff Freddy and Morty are here to honestly make me feel just as uncomfortable as any other mods that are on this list. The last time that this mod was updated, it was 6 months ago, and it, quote, added super buff versions of Freddy and Monty, optionally making them even beefier. Created by storebrand_mods on Game Banana, this is certainly something. Although they swear it was just meant to be a small model edit that makes Freddy and Monty a good bit beefier, they blame any other feelings that you get from this mod on a thumbnail for a gameplay video on the Vanamelon channel on YouTube. Which, yeah, I looked at it, it's certainly kinda sus. Okay? It is worth noting, however, that if you do want to install this, the mod requires Unnervum to actually install properly. Not sure what that means. I don't really mod Security Breach, but I guess plenty of you understand it. At least if you're watching this this list for more mods to add to your to download section. I'm sure you'll understand it. Okay, these animatronics are already scarily jacked, though I didn't think you needed to make them any beefier, but you did, so there you go. In at 8, Roxy's Mega Pizzaplex. Are you obsessed with Roxy? If you are, I'm sure any relationship you have is already on the rocks. However, if you really want to drive your obsession into the ground, this Roxy Mega Pizzaplex mod is for you. Created by user Moon on Game Banana, this isn't really that kind of mod, but it's definitely questionable why you'd change the Pizzaplex to be about Roxy. I mean, it could make sense for like after the main story when Freddy leaves, but even then it would be Monty who replaced him. Luckily enough though, they actually come up with an explanation for this and replace Monty with someone else. However, they also replace the original Roxy with Freddy. So if Freddy is still there, I don't know how this works with the lore, but you know what? Oh well. It's not a mod that will make your internet provider worry that you're okay, but it's still a mod that will make your significant other or any prospective partner think twice about what's going on in your head. You know what? Either one. Either head, you know? But yeah, I definitely would question it as well. Chica's Mega Pizzaplex, though. That's understandable. And it's 7, Into the Pit Spring Bonnie. If you've seen the cover of Into the Pit, you'll know about this Into the Pit Spring Bonnie, the main antagonist of the story of the same name. And by the same name, I mean the name is Into the Pit, not Into the Pit Spring Bonnie. Either way, this version of Spring Bonnie is basically a nightmare version of the character, except more repaired than the other nightmare animatronics. Because let's be honest, in this series, a fully repaired animatronic with no damage in the style of the FNAF 1 robots is actually terrifying. I don't know why these proportions and this style of animatronic is just so creepy to me, but it is. And while it may not be as common of a thought to add the Fazbear Frights cover characters into Ultimate Custom Night, well, maybe aside from Fetch, I think that they're worth it. As I'm sure you could expect, this mod is from Elite Robo on DeviantArt, and the post has 2 links to download the mod from, one being a Discord link and the other being some weird file sharing service that isn't Mediafire or Dropbox, so I personally wouldn't trust it, but hey, it's up to you. And at 6, Freddy Footbear. Alright, look. Okay, I'm not one to yuck someone's yum. Okay, I'm not here to kink shame. I actually understand the science behind this kind of fascination. The two sections of the brain are so close that like the neural networks can sometimes get crossed. And that's totally 100% okay. Alright, nothing to be ashamed of. I'm not into it, but if you are, that's fine. The only thing I'm questioning here is adding this feature to a giant 80s glam rock themed bear animatronic that's in a video game. That's the part that's kind of strange to me, okay? And the mod author isn't any help, okay? As Seaborg on Game Banana puts it, quote, gives Glamrock Freddy a pair of human feet. No, I won't elaborate. So thanks for the help on that, Seaborg, or Keborg, I guess. I don't know how exactly you would say it. It starts with a C-E, so I'm inclined to say Seaborg. But because it's kind of like cyborg, but I'm also inclined to say keyboard because, like, you know, Connor with the C. But you know what? Since you won't elaborate, neither will I. Next number. Halfway through, in at number 5, more nodes. The mod itself, I don't think is actually called more nodes, but what it's probably called isn't going to be allowed on YouTube. So yeah, I'll just call it more nodes for now, and if you want to look it up later, you can. Basically, this mod edits certain Skyrim body mods like UNP and adds more areas to the body that physics can be applied. Basically, it turns compatible female body mods into jiggle physics emulators. So I think you can see where I'm going with this one, alright? HTT physics is nothing new with Skyrim mods, especially in this area. However, where I think that this mod in particular really stands out over the other jiggle mods that you can get is that this one's VR compatible. And I don't mean that like it won't crash your game when you boot it up. I'm saying that these nodes that it adds are capable of being interacted with using your VR character's hands. So yeah, you can just start walking around slapping characters' butts. You can commit even more crimes now in game. You can start assaulting people with more than just bloody knuckles. So yeah, I'm sure you can understand why this mod would put a strain on your love life. And no, ironically enough, this isn't the one that ruined mine. In at 4, Five Nights of Love. Oh yes, another fan game, okay? One that I didn't know existed, but I had a feeling that it would. I figured that if KFC could have a dating sim, then FNAF might have one too, right? And it absolutely does. I'm just waiting for the FNAF console. Ah, you heard me right, alright? It's a FNAF dating sim. You love shipping animatronics with everything, living or not, in the games or not, and you know what? With a human trapped in a suit and a pile of trash, or a human trapped in a suit and a short skeleton from the underworld, you'll still ship it, and it's disturbing. But this time, you get to decide who actually makes the cut in Five Nights of Love. Tracking via cameras, you look at the rooms of a public place, and you'll periodically meet the toy versions of Chica, Foxy, Freddy, and Balloon Boy. With each one of them, the player can have like a heart-to-heart talk, or try to hug them, which is a whole other thing, but you know what, you give them all your love and attention, and then thanks to the treatment, the level of the toy's love towards you will increase, but also your energy will decrease, and then once your energy is out, you have to return to your office, your actual room, or I guess go home, and then come back the next day and start again. Partially though, you can actually like recharge energy at Balloon Boy once a day, I think, if you get lucky. But over this period of 5 days, you gotta make sure as many animatronics love you as possible, which is weird and a whole, I don't want to start any animatronic orgies, alright? That's kind of weird, but you know what? The higher score you get, the more successfully you complete this game. Why is this a thing? Why? Getting close to the end in at number 3, Hallows Eve. Now we're starting to get to the collections, which definitely are going to be at the top, because let's be honest, the more the scarier, am I right? Instead of the more the merrier, pardon the pun. Elite Robo made a mod for Dreadbear and Grim Foxy from the Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted DLC Curse of Dreadbear that replaces Nightmare Eon and Ennard. And we all know how much I love the Help Wanted DLC, especially since Grim Foxy is my favorite animatronic at this point. But these animatronics are definitely going to be freaky being added to a game when they hadn't really been created yet. Oh god, imagine the lore that would come from them being in this game. I don't care how many jump scares or whatever that I have to deal with, the scariest part of Five Nights at Freddy's will always be the lore, no matter what, okay? If it has any lore implications, no matter what it is, I will run away screaming. I mean, I would run now, but there's kind of like a wall here, so I can't run. Penultimately, in at number 2, Thick. Building off the last number, for this number, I'm making my own category of mods, okay? This number is for any mod that makes any of the characters bigger, and in this case, typically thicker, okay? There are quite a few, and honestly, it's concerning. Fat Freddy and Monty, for example, like I mentioned earlier. Also, Thunder Thighs Vanny, but also Thick Vanessa, and then multiple mods that, let's say, enhance Roxy and Chica, sometimes separately, sometimes not. Okay, there are separate bigger Roxy and Chica mods, but also the one on the Nexus that makes them both bigger in certain areas, as the mod author describes it, okay? Like, I understand that sex sells, okay? I went to advertising school, I get that, but seriously, with animatronics? Like, come on, Chica was already pretty damn thick. you didn't need to pile on. Okay, then Roxy already seemed to have a lot of fans based on her original version as well, especially given the thumbnail that I did for Gaming Elite when I pretended to censor her. Come on, they're man-made plastic constructed robots, okay? Come on. I know that, like, I joke about Chica and it's probably gonna prevent me from getting a girlfriend at literally any point in my life, especially if they find these videos, but you know what? It's not real. I'm kidding. It's a joke, okay? Or at least I am kidding until the day that Chica's real. But until then, I'm kidding. Alright, so relax. Please, stop. Speaking of which, finally, into number 1, not modest animatronics. And this is another number that I felt like I had to put on this list, because this is what made me have to do the list in the first place. I can't actually say the name of the actual mod without getting in trouble from the gods above, those being Susan and the rest of YouTube's staff and AI algorithms. However, this not modest or not clothed animatronics mod is very concerning for me, okay? People keep DMing me, trying to tell me to download this mod. No! This mod removes the clothing. I'm putting air quotes on it because, again, it's plastic, okay? And then it leaves both Roxy and Chica exposed. So clearly it's not gonna be a viable option for a YouTube playthrough, okay? And the Patreon isn't even, I'm not stooping myself to that level, okay? But also, why are they so well endowed with this mod? Why? Sweet heavens, why? Okay, at least if you're gonna make this mod, make it realistic, okay? Like, come on. They must be wearing some high-tier compression fabric or something like that, okay? Because when you have this mod, yowza! Plus, apparently, images on Google also show me that there's a Monty version of this mod, giving him, as well, some well-endowed chest articles, which is just... why? What the hell is up with that? Monty doesn't need chesticles, okay? In a 10, alternate start Live Another Life. Skyrim is one of those games that I go back to all the time. I've played through the game I don't know how many different times, and every time I do, of course, I end up being a stealth archer. However, they all start differently, and the typical get caught in a dragon attack in Helgen thing gets old. In fact, it gets old after the first time, really. And that might stop some people from playing it over and over again, but not anymore. With the alternate start Live Another Life mod, well, I mean, I'm sure anyone who actually knows Skyrim modding knows about this mod, and I feel like the title is fairly evident. Basically, you can become anyone using this mod. You can choose from like 20 different starting options that each have their own options, and they give you a slight backstory as well as a new starting location that isn't Helgen. But before that, like, you don't even need to be the Dragonborn too. But once you're ready to become the Dragonborn, you can make your way to Helgen and start the main story as normal. This caused me to play through the game so many times that I actually ended up bailing on a girlfriend in the past because I would have rather been playing Skyrim. Grade 10 was weird, guys. Okay, it's a long story. In at 9, relationship dialogue overhaul. The relationship dialogue overhaul is exactly what it sounds like. It unlocks various lines of dialogue previously cut from the game for whatever reason and actually re-enables them. According to the mod page, this quote adds over 5,000 lines of completely voiced dialogue for NPCs using the original voices. Friends, followers, spouses, rivals, and others have much more to say. All default voices now have follower dialogue, and it also fixes dialogue bugs and restores cut dialogue that has never been heard before. Based on the relationship the NPC has with the player that works with the existing dialogue from the game. Yeah, you get more bang for your buck finally. Considering how I've bought the game 4 times, I feel like I deserve it. All the lines are voiced using the original voices from the game and consist of existing lines that have been added in new and suitable situations, as well as completely new dialogue that was created by editing multiple lines together to form brand new ones. Some of which sound like they were recorded, but a few of them you can tell were a little spliced. Friends talk to you more like friends, followers have much more to say when you're talking to them, and if your spouse is a follower, they will actually talk to you like a spouse instead of a follower. So basically this just makes your spouse more like your spouse in game. I have to say in game. And well, like, you know, they won't repeat the same 8 things over and over again. So yeah, more variety in game means more trouble outside. And by outside I mean in the apartment, because we don't go outside. In at 8, Immersive Armory. Immersive Armory, like Alternate Start, adds so much to Skyrim that it feels like a whole DLC. What I call the Immersive Armory though is really just the immersive weapons and immersive armor mods that I think were at least at one point separate, but as of Special Edition they might be packaged together. Although given that some people may want one over the other, I don't know if they are still like together or if they're separate. I don't know how it's going normally, but no matter the actual technicalities, the immersive armor and the immersive weapons mod add enough to your game to keep it feeling like vanilla Skyrim, but giving it that extra bit of oomph. The armors are cool, and with the variations on the armor itself in the mod, you can customize certain aspects to make your character truly unique. But this also adds another element of exploration, and for those completionists who want to collect everything they can, you're gonna be in for one hell of a ride. With hundreds of new items added to the game, you're gonna be working with like that smithing tree for a long time to be able to get complete access. I could have included like the Legacy of the Dragonborn mod, the mod that adds like the Dragonborn Museum in Solitude that you can fill out, but I feel like this one's more accessible to everyone, even though it's 2 mods, or I guess now technically 3. And at 7, Five Nights in Anime 2. And you know what, just when I thought that those fan games couldn't get any worse, Five Nights in Anime has a sequel. Oh boy. And you know what, they just keep coming. It's like the all-star of FNAF games. This version of Five Nights in Anime is even more bizarre than the first one, and it's really more of the same though, with the same tropes, but this time parodying it. Can you guess it? Yeah, that's right. FNAF 2. My question is though, if this is a parody in the exact same vein, did we really need a sequel for it? Okay, I don't know. But I mean, there might have been a good amount of people asking for it, considering how this is a thing that we did get. Although, I do want to acknowledge the fact that the first Five Nights in Anime game got 3.5 million downloads, then the second one only got 1.8. So maybe you shouldn't have done it. Although 1.8 million, if I got 1.8 million views on a video, that would be insane. Either way, it's better than that one mod for Security Breach, okay, that people keep telling me to download in my Instagram DMs. Don't worry, I'll talk about it later. Yeah, you do realize what platform this is, right? I could not share that. Although, if I did it on like Patreon or something. Does OnlyFans have rules against that? And at 6, Summer Mist Enchantments. Summer Mist Enchantments is another one of those mods that isn't gonna ruin your love life because of its content, but rather how much time you'll be spending playing the game because of it. Summer Mist Enchants is the special edition version of the Winter Mist Enchants mod, so if you see that one, they're basically one and the same. This mod adds things like shout cooldown enchantments to armor, experience boosting enchantments, and much more. From what I remember off the top of my head, there was one for making the ground shake when you landed, one for summoning a spectral warrior when you took damage, and one that generates random amounts of gold every day, but once you take off that piece, that amount of money disappears. So finding all those enchantments and then trying to find the best combo for your character is definitely going to kill your love life just because you won't have time for anything else. Halfway through in at number 5, Scrap Orville Elephant. Orville Elephant isn't a particularly scary character. This remains the same for the rest of the mediocre melodies. However, this Scrap Orville mod using a model by user Holo Pack Zoom is honestly terrifying. Scrapping animatronics always makes them scarier, and with the lore implications that the original Orville added with some of his death lines in the game, I can only imagine what a Scrap Orville would add. While the page doesn't explicitly state it, I'm guessing that the mod would replace the original Orville to help him look like just more of a scrap animatronic. And to be frank, this is probably the scariest scrap animatronic that I've seen, even if it is fan-made. Ooh, should we make like a scary fan-made scrap animatronics list? I think that would be cool. Oh, I'll write that down. In it for reputation. Now, this doesn't do things like adding nodes or allowing you to have biological children. However, the Skyrim reputation mod definitely is going to give you more reasons to keep on playing. With the reputation mod installed, everything you do in-game will either make you more famous or more infamous. From quest lines to even how many bandits you kill, everything you do will make you either more of a good guy or a bad guy. But no matter which way you go, there will be different effects. From even Nazim no longer disrespecting you to being charged more at shops, the reputation mod is such a subtle change that adds a huge amount to your game. This mod made me replay Skyrim so many times by myself, like, oh my god. I mean, like, I spent a load of time trying to fix my reputation after the Dark Brotherhood questline because I accidentally left it enabled for changing my score in the mod menu. You can turn certain things off. But after defeating Alduin, you're actually recognized as the Dragonborn and the savior of Skyrim, which is something that the main game was very much lacking. Alright, you saved them after, but then nobody cared. Because it's like they never thought that they were in danger. They're like, ah, no, he wasn't gonna eat the world anyway. Who cares, dude? Like, come on. This mod also fixes that, okay? And it lets you become famous. And I mean, who doesn't want that? At least in Skyrim. Getting close to the end, and at number 3, Vanny Thunder Thighs. I mean, it's something that we knew would happen. And I think that it's something that I've actually joked about in the past about wanting. But like, why would you do this to yourself and us? But like also mostly yourself because your name is attached to it, and I very clearly am not actually trying to nail Vanny or Vanessa, okay? Chica's my main girl. And you know what? I'm actually glad you kind of held back, okay? This mod could have been worse, okay? You could have taken this to the extreme. You could have made it that she's only wearing the mask. You could have made it that like her suit is skimpy, like basically every Skyrim armor mod ever. And you could have done a lot more, but you just made her thighs huge. And I can appreciate the restraint. I really can. So, Mock again, I think that's how you'd say the name. I'm sorry if I keep butchering it. Well done on restraining yourself from going even harder. Pun absolutely intended. Of course, like Jesus, like I can't even deal with this anymore, okay? I think we've seen all of this enough, specifically, especially after seeing the comments on this mod. That one comment was yikes. Penultimately, in at number 2, CBBE. CBBE is one of, if not the most popular Skyrim mod of all time. Okay, well technically I think that Sky UI is the most popular mod, or maybe the unofficial patch, but those are more of fixes than mods in my eyes. Anyway, for those of you who don't know somehow, CBBE is actually an acronym standing for Caliente's Beautiful Bodies Edition, and it's a mod aimed at, well, I'm sure you can figure that out. Its main focus is adding bigger butts and boobs to female NPCs, which I'm sure you can understand why it's such a popular mod now. At this point, Skyrim is nothing more than one of those, like, you can't last 5 minutes playing this game ads, but actually real. Nevertheless, downloading this will ruin your love life in multiple ways. Firstly, okay, it could warp your perception of reality and then change your standards to be ridiculously high, as if society hasn't set those high enough as it is. Or 2, it will also make your significant other question why you have these mods to begin with. And it works in every way, okay? Whether you're dating a male, a woman, a non-binary person, or otherwise identifying, they'll all have questions as to why you have this mod, okay? Like what? Is my body not good enough? Why are you installing that if you're not into women? The questions will just, it will flow out of them more than the waterfall at Bard's Leap. Not from personal experience, because, well, my last girlfriend honestly wanted me to have this mod installed even more than I did, I think, which explains a lot, but especially given the main use of this mod being to make NPCs naked, you can see why this may cause some issues and why I've really had to restrain myself when talking about it. And finally, in at number 1, the Serana Dialogue add-on. This number might, in all honesty, be a little too real for me, considering how I've been messing around most of this list. Okay, I've talked about it on my Instagram before, but over the past year or so, I've come to realize that the last relationship I was in was definitely an extremely toxic one. I was being manipulated and gaslit and a whole mess of other things. However, I thought what was going on was normal. Based on what I was seeing on social media and TV and just in my own life, I figured that this kind of behavior was normal and to be expected. However, something that started to clue me in into how messed up things really were was the Serana Dialogue add-on. Yeah, basically, with this mod installed, you'll want to do the Dawnguard DLC first before even the main main vanilla quest line, since with this mod, Serana will have an incredible amount of additional dialogue about the main quest line, Dragonborn, and even guild storylines. But it also injects an element of romance into these stories and into the quest lines for those of you who wanted to marry Serana only to find out that she wasn't actually a candidate for it in the vanilla game. This fixes that, even after curing herself of vampirism. This mod eliminates that whole issue, and it makes the connection more than just a "you got me a mammoth's tusk because I was lonely, so how about we just get married instead" thing. You know, the typical complete a quest, have them fall for you thing, okay? In this case, the dialogue choices matter, there are roleplay opportunities, and as sad as it sounds, it started me on the path of realizing that my situation wasn't healthy. And if you agree that that's sad, just imagine how bad it had to be for this to be what truly ended up ruining my love life. Yeah. And at 10, Scott Cawthon. Yes, that's right. Scott Cawthon is an Ultimate Custom Knight. Okay, well, not normally in a sense, but you actually need to install this mod for it to work. But this mod, along with most of the mods on this list, comes from Elliot Robo on DeviantArt, which is honestly the last place I expected to find Ultimate Custom Knight mods. So that's why these are all mostly going to be from him. Scott in this mod actually replaces the phone guy, since most of these mods require you to replace an animatronic, since that's just how the coding works, but still. Instead of Scott Cawthon talking as phone guy, you get Scott Cawthon talking as Scott Cawthon. It's not really scary in the normal sense, but rather because of the sheer implication that Scott being present in his own world would create, and the amount of work I would have to do to explain it. Only for nobody to care because it didn't come from MatPat. Yeah, that's my life. That's why it's scary. In at 9, Fixed Trap. Scrap Trap is one of the most pointlessly controversial characters in FNAF history. Most people thought that it was just a more rundown Springtrap, and others assumed that it was an entirely separate character, which in some ways makes sense given that Scrap Trap's head is much larger than Springtrap's, but then that caused a load of people to think that Mike was Springtrap, and that's simply not the case. But this mod from, again, Elite Robo replaces Scrap Trap with a fixed version of the Spring Bonnie suit that he's wearing, which makes it seem less scary in theory, but it's highly unsettling. It's so smooth and the head shape is so odd, it looks like you're looking at a skull. I get uncomfortable looking at it. So yeah, if you want a fixed Scrap Trap that still sets you on edge, use this. Now for God's sakes, please take it away. And at 8, Alistor. Has-Been Hotel is an American adult animated web series created by Vinny Vizipop Medrano on YouTube. It was made entirely by freelance animators and is largely financed by his Patreon followers. The official pilot was released on YouTube on October 28, 2019, and on November 6, 2019, Medrano stated on Patreon that there was no release date for the second episode yet. By August 2020, the show developed a dedicated fan base, with the 31-minute pilot receiving over 61 million views as of May of this year, a rise from 32 million views in May of 2020. On August 7, 2020, it was also announced that A24 had picked up Has-Been Hotel for a full television series. Alistor, the radio demon, is an overlord of hell in the show. His voice sounds like it's coming through a radio, complete with static, sound effects, and theme music. He offers his services to Charlie in order to help her maintain her goal of running the hotel, but only for his own amusement. And they're added into Ultimate Custom Night by Charlie B. Jr. on Game Jolt and replaces Funtime Foxy. This is the only mod that's made by a different mod author on this list. I'm sorry, but that's just how it worked out. And at 7, Skyrim Family Life. In Skyrim, you for some reason can't have an actual family. Okay, well obviously it's due to engine limitations, but you can't actually have your own children. It's an interesting idea that many players wanted access to, because you can only actually adopt kids after the Hearthfire mod. But the Skyrim Family Life mod actually enables you to have biological kids with your Skyrim spouse. I don't exactly know how it works, but I mean, if you have a family in Skyrim, okay, what's the need to have one in real life, right? I mean, that's definitely going to make some people mad that I said that, but come on, okay? You have to understand how being able to have a biological kid with your video game wife is probably gonna cause some problems with your partner, or your video game wife, or husband, or whatever. I mean, but let's be honest, everyone who plays Skyrim probably plays as a female character, and they probably end up marrying women because men are trash. But considering that this mod, or at least a mod similar to this one, is compatible with certain Lover's Lab mods, and if you don't know what Lover's Lab is, then you probably don't need to be worrying about it anyway. Yeah, at least one version of the having biological kids mod genre, I guess, is a little more realistic than the typical black screen and a small block of text, or even just like sleeping in the bed next to your spouse, enabling the possibility of implied frisky time. So yeah, it's on this list for a reason. And 6th, Twisted Ones. Yep, you heard me right. You can have the Twisted animatronics in Ultimate Custom Night for the simple price of replacing a couple animatronics. The ones this mod from Elite Robo adds are Twisted Freddy, Bonnie, and Foxy. There isn't a Twisted Wolf specifically. I think that Foxy is meant to be Twisted Wolf, except just more themed. But I don't even know if there was a Twisted Foxy. I didn't read the book. My sister has it, I just haven't borrowed it yet. However, Elite Robo has mentioned in the comments that they're willing to add additional characters in further mod updates if the models get released, since currently the models are from a Steam community page. And since this was already an update made back in Halloween 2020, it's been over a year, so I'm sure that other models have been released. It could also help explain why there's no Twisted Wolf and instead Twisted Foxy. There was just no model for it. But if you want to make a model for like Twisted Chica or something and send it to Elite Robo, I'm sure they'd be grateful. Halfway through in at number 5, Fat Freddy and Monty. Ah yes, with a ton of people online claiming to love dad bods and only dad bods so that they can get even more followers and attention, you know that I was going to have to include Fat Freddy and Monty. I feel like dad bod Freddy and Monty would have been a better name for this and gotten more clicks, but you know what, it's fine. You can fat shame guys online, right? That's the rule, right? Body shame guys and guys only. Yeah, like 50 Cent, oh man, haha. That dude let go. Anyway, have you heard Lizzo's new song lately? Okay, sorry. Double standards aside, this is quite simply just a beer belly Monty and Freddy. Or as the mod author Moik puts it, Mock, I'm sorry for the horrible pronunciation, quote, another cursed mod makes Montgomery and Freddy look like Discord mods. But at least this way, you fitting in Glamrock Freddy's chest cavity actually kind of makes more sense, because it wouldn't just be a 14-inch vertical hole. It's like that, but horizontally now. So I think that's kind of more accurate. I mean, I could nearly fit in that, I think. Like, my shoulders are like 17 inches long, but like my head certainly isn't, so I feel like I could fit in it if I was facing the right way. Like, this is not 14 inches. So like, I could fit in it like that. I don't know. So like, this way, you don't have to be the size of a 4-year-old anymore, Gregory. There you go. But seriously, why do you have this mod installed already? Why? And at 4, Dark Springtrap. Oh yeah, here's where we're getting to the good stuff. Dark Springtrap in Ultimate Custom Night is a mod that replaces Rockstar Chica with Dark Springtrap and RS, and Rockstar Chica's sign with a spare puppet mask. Dark Springtrap is basically Springtrap after the FNAF 3 fire, but before Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. The concept of Springtrap is already pretty dark, with a serial killer getting trapped inside of an animatronic suit unable to die because he's being possessed. But combine that with the whole FNAF 3 fire burning him slightly, and then you have some decent nightmare fuel. Springtrap isn't really that scary of a character, but Dark Springtrap certainly helps make him freakier, especially because most of the actual William body in this model seems to be gone. It's mostly an empty shell that actually technically makes him more of an animatronic than the original Springtrap, since normal Springtrap isn't an animatronic, it's just a dude trapped in an animatronic suit. I will die on this hill. Springtrap is not an animatronic, he is a dude who has just been augmented. Basically. Facts. Getting close to the end, and at number 3, Bidgin NPCs. Bidgin NPCs is probably the funniest name for a mod that I've ever seen. Well, at least out of the mods on the Nexus. This mod, I believe, is actually potentially a collection of mods under the Bidgin NPCs umbrella. From the ones that I can remember, we have Bidgin Wives and Bidgin War Maidens, although those also may be separate mods with NPCs being its own. These mods modify certain NPCs though to look better, and it kind of removes the whole grunge and grime from their appearance. The NPCs edition of the mod focuses on Vex, Sapphire, Irileth, Rick, Hulda, Lisette, Carlotta, Carlia, Tanalia, Adrian, Maven, Ignan, Girder, and Igrid, while the other sections focus on, well, their certain category. The War Maidens and the Mariable NPCs. However, I think that just the fact that I was unable to view this mod page without being logged in, since it couldn't prove that I was over 18, gives you an idea about how this mod changes your game. It's not something as extreme as like a Lover's Lab mod, but it's definitely certainly making your significant other worrying about your next night together, especially if you've specifically downloaded the Bidgin Wives version, because like, you know. Then ultimately, in at number 2, Fan Game Trio. The Fan Game Trio mod pack is a mod that replaces Toy Bonnie as Pop Goes the Weasel, Toy Chica as Candy the Cat, and Withered Bonnie as Ignited Bonnie. These characters are from the 3 popular fan games Pop Goes, Five Nights at Candy's, and The Joy of Creation. Ironically, all of which are coming to the Fazbear Extended Universe thanks to the Fazbear Fanverse Initiative, which is certainly interesting since this mod for Ultimate Custom Night was released in 2019, meaning it predates the announcement for the Fanverse which occurred in 2020. So technically this mod in a way could in theory be canon, but I'm not even going to get into that because let's be real, that would drive me too crazy. I'll let MatPat handle this one even though I know for a fact that he won't because, come on, he shouldn't even try to step to me. I say that only because he has absolutely no idea who I am, and I'm okay with that at this point. But yeah, if you want to experience the Fazbear Extended Universe, there you go. All you need to do is get this mod by Elite Robo again, because of course it is. And finally, in at number 1, Bago Puppets. I think we all know how I feel about the puppet and the various different fan-made versions of the puppet that we've discussed on this channel, particularly the Reaper puppet. Luckily, this mod does not feature the Reaper puppet from the Final Night series, but rather the security puppet and the stylized puppet created by Tofu Kaj. That's probably not the right way to say it, but if I say it the way I'm guessing it's really pronounced, we make it demonetized. However, this mod replaces Nightmarion and the puppet respectively, and honestly, that's all I can really say. The stylized puppet in this game is absolutely terrifying, and I hate that this thing creeps me out so much. I feel like I'm the phone guy. My favorite animatronic is a version of Foxy, that being Grim Foxy, and I'm always creeped out by alternate versions of the puppet, just like the phone guy thinks that the puppet is always thinking. But luckily these animatronics aren't real and can't actually hurt me, I think, man. Whenever I end up having a kid and like they want to go to Chuck E. Cheese for some reason, they're always going to wonder why I either say no or I'm extremely cautious around these goddamn animatronics and the people in the Chucky suit. Like, they won't understand the struggle of having to talk about this series day after day. This series is gonna mess me up more than high school. Oh yeah.